Welcome to the Black and Green podcast. It's your go-to place to find the latest high-quality, all-natural products created by Black artisans. Hosted by yours truly, Dr. Kristen H., the founder of Black and Green. We'll discuss all things health, wellness, self-care, and of course, self-love. This podcast features a refreshing lineup of guests, from entrepreneurs and artisans to holistic lifestylists and clean beauty experts, and a plethora of other innovators within the wellness industry. Join me as we learn from the best of the best. Hi. Thank you so much for joining me today. Can you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Derek Hales. I am a professional mattress tester and founder and editor-in-chief of naplab.com. At NapLab, we test mattresses using a battery of objective and data-driven test. Mattresses come in, we put them through the ringer to see exactly how they perform for cooling, motion, transfer, edge support, comfort, pressure relief, and 10 total different testing factors to try to help our readers and viewers understand exactly what mattresses are good, what are bad, and what mattress is going to be best for them.
Awesome. So tell me why. Why do you start doing this? What led you to... My experience is people usually start the best businesses when they're trying to solve one of their own problems. So tell me about what problem you're trying to solve for yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, I didn't intend to become a professional mattress tester. Just sort of accidentally fell into it. And it really began when I got married. I got married to my wife in 2014. And right away, we needed a new mattress. We were sleeping on my old, basically childhood mattress for about the first 3 months of getting married. And so we did sort of the whole in-store mattress thing, going in, laying on beds, trying to find something we liked. We found beds we liked, but very expensive, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. We just couldn't pull the trigger. We didn't have a ton of money, and we were also very frugal. It just felt like way too much to spend on a bed. So we ended up trying a new online bed that had just gotten started, where we ordered basically a king bed online, sight unseen. Had never tried it. But it was inexpensive, and it seemed pretty good, and we tried it, and it was okay, not great for us. We ended up returning it. Had a great return policy, so that was good, and we tried another online bed right after that, and it was a little bit better and actually met our needs well enough, so we ended up keeping that one. And just kind of as like a fun weekend hobby project, I just I'm going to build a website, and I reviewed each of those mattresses. I did a comparison. I put some shopping notes about sort of my in-store experiences. Just throw it out there really for fun. I didn't think a ton of people would be interested, but I was thankfully very wrong. People love the reviews. They love the comparisons. The site blew up very quickly. Before 2014 was over, we had tested 2 more mattresses. We had 4 tests on the site. And a couple months later, I was able to leave my full-time job. It was making enough money that it had replaced my full-time income. And by February 2015, I started my full-time career as a professional mattress tester.
So tell me how. Who was paying you?
So from the beginning and to this day, we do the same thing. So we just used referral links. So almost every brand that we work with has a referral program where basically if you send them clicks and someone buys something, then we earn a little bit of a commission. So everything that we test, we have the referral link. So kind of no matter whatever you buy, we're able to be supported from those sales. So that lets us really recommend kind of whatever is best for any individual reader. And then hopefully we earn a little bit of commission that helps the company stay in business.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you were able to create a business simply off of commissions. So what that meant is that you had readers who valued what you were writing to a point where it was driving enough sales to replace your salary. That's a lot of hits you were getting.
Yeah, we really seem to strike a chord with the reviews. So in 2014, 2015, there really wasn't very many people doing what we were doing. We were very, very early because we really were focused on more of the online mattress industry at that time, which was really just in its infancy. And so we would find these beds and brands that were sold exclusively online. We would order one or get one sent to us. We would test it. We would write about it. We would do a video on it and just put it out there. And sort of as interest in online mattress brands grew, we were able to grow alongside it. Now, fast forward, 11 years later, we test online brands, in-store brands, specialty brands, expensive stuff, cheap stuff. We got everything in between, so we do it all. But that's really where we got our start.
So tell me, what's your favorite mattress and why?
My personal favorite, and the one that my wife sleeps on, is a mattress called Lumen Leaf. It's sort of a luxury level memory foam mattress. And memory foam is, is not for everybody, right? It is, the cons are it can be a little bit warmer because it retains more heat. Edge sport is not great, and sex performance is not great. However, where it really excels is pressure relief, comfort, support, and body contouring hug. My wife and I just love the feel of memory foam, so even though it's not the absolute best mattress we've ever tested, it's the best for us. And that's really kind of how I think about mattresses. While there are definitely mattresses that are better than others, sort of on average, it really depends on the individual sleeper, and so it's always important to sort of match, your needs and preferences with the right mattress.
A book I just read, The Rest Revolution, talked a lot about valuing rest, and a piece of that rest conversation is about valuing sleep. So how do you think this rise of emphasis on understanding the importance of sleep is tied into with the success you've seen from your company?
Definitely. So I think in recent years, especially the last decade or so, there's been a much greater awareness of just how important sleep is. Now, we've had, studies for decades that have shown it and proven it again and again, but especially, again, in the last 10 or so years. In December, I forget the journal that released it, but it was a major study that looked at all of these different factors that impact your health: diet, exercise, genetics, smoking, sleep, all of these other things. With the exception of smoking, sleep was the most important factor for improving your overall health. And so it's just, again, one more study in a countless pile that has just showed us when we get good rest, when we get good sleep, we have better health. And that just comes back to, sleep is the sort of the mechanism in which the body heals itself physically, mentally, emotionally. It is the nightly recovery that the body makes or doesn't make. So if you're not getting, 7 to 8 good hours of rest, you're going to likely find that different aspects of your life are falling apart. And so I think there's just nothing more important for good health than making sure you're getting good sleep each night.
Yeah, I love it. My brain went to the idea of you can have an amazing mattress, but if you don't have a good sleep routine, it might not matter. So tell me about your sleep routine.
Definitely. So my sleep routine is pretty simple. I try to, again, sort of begin calming down as much as possible, an hour or so before I go to bed. So I'm a big video gamer, but I try to play more casual, chill video games as we get closer to bedtime. If I'm doing something really intense, then I'm like super worked up, the heart's beating too much. Beyond that, just avoiding caffeine and sugar as we get super late into the night. And to the extent I can, trying to avoid using screens, especially, the cell phone. Try to not have that, minutes before bed, like as I've done in previous, years of my life. And so ultimately, it just lets sort of the body come down in a more natural way. And I know there's sort of, a lot of sort of science behind, avoiding blue light and avoiding, light in the eyes, and with respect to doing, sort of high intensity activities, whether it's exercise or in my case, gaming late at night. Trying to avoid those just to come down into a calmer state so that by the time I actually do hit the pillow, my mind is calmer. I have sort of processed the things that I needed to process about the day, and I can actually go to sleep.
Yeah. I love that. I know for me personally, I set a hardcore bedtime. And so everyone in my family knows my bedtime's 10 o'clock. And so at 9:30, I'm going upstairs because I want to be asleep by 10 o'clock. And I have tested a lot of different strategies to try to improve my sleep routine. One of the things I've tested was keeping my cell phone downstairs. After I noticed that I was utilizing it a lot in the bed before I went to sleep, after I knew all the impact of not doing it. And so to try to break that habit for myself, I started to leave my phone downstairs. Say, hey, the best way to not scroll before you go to sleep is not to have the ability to scroll.
Absolutely. I love that. And my wife has done the same thing. I still keep the phone by my bed because I use it just as an alarm, but I go and I set my alarm, I put it down, and I don't touch it until the morning. But I totally agree on setting a bedtime. I mean, having a routine and a schedule as well. So for me, I try and make like 11 o'clock. I want to be in bed by 11 so that hopefully by 11:30 at the latest, I'm asleep. And then also just having a consistent wake-up time as well. My wife and I have 2 young kids, so no real issues there on consistent wake-up time. The kids are always up making noise.
They will wake you.
They wake us. But it does really help to stay on a good schedule. And also just, again, helps make it easier to wake up, helps make it easier to go to bed, and just making sure we're getting that consistent, 7 to 8 hours each night.
Right. And I think the whole idea around screen time is also really important in a big lesson I had to learn is something that hit me is my parents went to jobs. They had a traditional 9 to 5. So from 9 to 5, they're at work. And when they left work, work was still at work. Now, me and my husband work for ourselves, and so work is always with us. And so we had to be very intentional about turning work off because work could always be on. Yeah. And so that was a lesson that I had to learn. And honestly, my son taught it to me. I was playing Mancala with him one day, and I kept picking up my phone to check it. And he looked at me and said, "Mommy, can you just play Mancala with me?" And I was like, you're right. Let me put my phone down and play Mancala with you. And so that little, "Mommy, can you just play Mancala with me?" was enough for me to say, gosh, I'm not being present in this moment with my son to play Mancala. When he gets older, he might not want to play Mancala with his mother, but now he does. And so let me be present in that moment. So being present was something I had to work on to not let work keep pulling at me. How's that going for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really two things, right? I think being present and also just keeping work at work. And so I think both those are tough. And I've had similar moments with my son where we're sitting and I'm distracted or looking at something, and he just says, "Hey, can we just play this?" Like, you're totally right. I think kids do such an amazing job of always living in the moment. They know nothing else but the moment. And at some point growing up, we forget that. But it's so important. And it's such a sort of an amazing reminder from just the innocence of kids. And so definitely think there's important to being present wherever we're at. And so I really make a point to try to not look at my phone or only look at it sort of at appointed times or so many times a day. But especially I think whether you are living sort of a work from home sort of culture or you are your own business owner, you're an entrepreneur, I think it's really tough because work is just at the reach of a phone or a screen or a laptop. And so for me, I've really had to set, hard working hours. Like I start work at roughly 8 and I end at roughly 5. And with very few exceptions, I do not work outside of those time frames because it's just so easy to let work take over your entire life. Everything you're just constantly looking at the phone, scrolling through emails, checking things, checking social media. And at least in my view, I think there is value in a really rigid work schedule and then a rigid sort of relaxing and just rest schedule. And I find that I am energized and just like pumped up to start the day whenever I sort of don't allow myself to sort of work during those, resting hours, which my work during those times is often not so great anyway because I'm tired, I'm distracted, I'm doing other things. So if I keep a really good, work schedule, a sort of relaxing, playing with kids, family time schedule, and then a sleeping schedule, by the time I'm ready to do each of those different things, I'm fully there, I'm fully immersed, I'm fully present in whatever it is that I'm doing.
Yes. I've heard some advice to schedule play and joy the same way you schedule work. So say, hey, from this hour to this hour, that's when I'm eating dinner. This hour to this hour, that's when I'm spending time with my spouse. From this hour to this hour, that's when I'm playing with my kids. I'm a bit of a person who might like a little bit of structure. So sometimes being more rigid, it's easier to be rigid with the stuff for my business. A lot harder to be structured for the things that you don't think need as much. You don't think need it. But that has been some advice I heard to try to be more rigid with those. And my husband has set alarms on his watch to say, all right, it's couples time now.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I find myself doing the same thing. I totally agree. If I don't schedule something, it's not going to get done, whether it's work or personal or family or kids or rest or what have you. And so I think there's definitely a lot of value in building that rigidity and structure into the day.
Yes. I love it. We're going to go ahead and stop for a meditation. Now we will pause for a moment of meditation with Dr. Crystal Jones.
So wherever you are right now, just take a moment to be. Be in your awareness. Be in your truth. Be in your wholeness. Allow yourself to show up as light, dark, and every shade of gray in between. Feeling your presence, experiencing your truth. Finding your breath. And instead of directing her, listen to her. Ask her where she wants to spend more time and spend more time there. Ask her where she's stuck and go into the experience of why. Be in this breath, be in this movement, and continue to cultivate this experience through the rest of your day. Honoring that your truth and whatever you show up as is always enough. You are perfection and excellence personified. Anything that tells you that you're anything else no longer serves you.
I love pausing to do those meditations.
It's powerful.
Yes. I tried to develop a meditation practice. It wasn't hitting for me. And guided meditations was one of my steps to helping me meditate better.
Yeah.
It helped provide my brain some structure when it was going to create things to think about that were not meditation.
I love that. I too struggle sort of with meditating on my own. It's sometimes better than others. But yeah, maybe I need to give the guided meditation a try again. I had tried some of the past and didn't love them, but that was great. So simple. And but man, I can feel my my mind racing, wanting to jump out of sort of being present in the meditation. Yes. If that isn't sort of evidence that I need to make this more of a routine practice, in my life. Yeah.
And I heard a guided meditation that said, when your brain wants to jump out, say, I see you. I see that you want to jump out. Just come back for a second. I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So it's like not to be mean or, why are you doing that again? Just say, okay, I see that you want to jump. Just come back to me for a second and just stay here, stay present, and I will let you jump. Like I'm here with you. I'm not fighting against you, but just come work with me and stay in this quiet moment for a second.
Yeah, that reminds me of, I believe it was Deepak Chopra's book, The Power of Now, where he talks about it being sort of the observer, the non-judgmental observer. You're observing what your mind is doing, but you do so without judgment and without trying to criticize yourself.
Yes, I love that. That's something that my husband's therapist tells us all the time. Just step out and observe it. What's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening? Why is it happening? And what is it triggering? Are you acting out of some trauma? Are you acting out of some hurt? What's guiding your actions when you observe it? So she said, be your observing self to try to figure out why are you behaving the way that you're behaving.
Yeah.
So I think that test always stuck my brain. Whenever I feel my emotions going high, I was like, all right, what's happening? Let's observe it. What's happening here? So a question that popped out to me is that it's called Nap Lab and not Sleep Lab. Why?
Well, Sleep Lab wasn't available.
Okay, so tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, finding a good domain is a real challenge, right? You know, it has to be something that is short, is memorable, is relevant, and so we looked at tens of thousands of different options. You know, we wanted something that was related to the testing portion of what we do, and then something that was related to the sleep portion of what we're talking about. And so, among all the options, Nap Lab was the one that was the shortest, the most memorable, the easiest to spell, and also being relevant. So, we ultimately decided to go with that one.
Okay, but that might be breaking my next question of you thinking about there's an importance of naps. So is there not an importance of naps, or that just wasn't the driver? Like, let's talk more about the importance of naps or lack thereof.
Yeah, it wasn't a significant driver, as is the short answer. And so, I think if we look at sort of the clinical research around naps, it seems to be that there isn't a tremendous benefit for adults based on everything that I've seen. If you do take naps, the guidance, again, based on the research that I've seen, is to keep them relatively short. 20 to 30 minutes is sort of the sweet spot. And the idea being is that you can sort of, take, half an hour to rest and recover without dropping into REM. The problem is if you take a nap to the point that you drop into a REM cycle, it can be very sort of tiring and disjointing when you wake out of that, especially if you don't complete the REM cycle. It can also then just delay the time you end up going to sleep at night, so you're sort of, robbing Peter to pay Paul sort of a situation. So based on the research, it doesn't seem that adults benefit tremendously from naps, but if you do need to take a nap to get some rest, keep it under 30 minutes.
Gotcha. Explain the REM cycle.
So the REM cycle is basically the deepest sleep. This is REM, a rapid eye movement, which is just a flickering of the eye, essentially, when you're in your deepest sleep. And it often accompanies dreams as well. You usually dream during a REM cycle. REM is basically when you are in your deepest sleep that you are getting your most restorative effects of sleep, when your brain is processing all of the emotions and the happenings of the day. And so most adults will have multiple REM cycles during a night. So a total sleep cycle, including REM, is something like 90 minutes to 2 hours. So if you're sleeping for 8 hours, you should have between 3 and 4 REM cycles. And so that's really where we get most of our rest and recovery. The challenge with REM is you're in such deep sleep that if you come out of a REM cycle in the middle of it, it can feel really groggy, really tiring. So if you ever wake up some mornings you feel fantastic and others morning you just feel awful, that could be just that you're coming out of the REM cycle at the wrong time. This is why it's so important to sort of go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, because then you can sort of zero in that sort of ideal sleep cycle for you so that you're consistently waking up outside of a REM cycle.
Awesome. Okay, I have all these questions. Let's make sure I can get them all in. For people who struggle with falling asleep, what do you say? How do you help me?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff we touched on earlier is big. I think the big thing is routine. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, and give yourself, roughly an 8-hour window for that sleep to happen. That's got to be the biggest thing. I think the second one is just, it's all in the mind. It's your ability for your mind to, it doesn't want to ever calm down. And so anything that is, stressing you out, adding anxiety, adding sort of mental load, especially later in the night, try to get away from those things. Because whether it's a phone or a laptop, a computer, a TV, anything that is keeping your mind going is going to make it more difficult to go to sleep. And so again, trying to stop those things, at least 30 minutes before bed. If you can do an hour, that's sort of ideal. Definitely the phone is a big one as well. People want to scroll right up to the last moment they finally fall asleep. That's not ideal. Not only are you sort of, blasting yourself with light and blue light, your mind is just going. And so it can be very hard to stop that. I think the last sort of big thing I think about is just sort of general sort of stress of the day. I think when you never give yourself a moment to just sort of be alone with your thoughts for a minute to process what's happened during the day, that processing is going to happen. It's going to happen right as you're trying to go to bed. So if you ever find yourself, on your pillow and your mind is just going through everything that happened during the day, that can happen earlier in the day if you'll let it. So again, just taking a few moments to take a 10-minute walk, do a 5-minute guided meditation, just a few moments so that your brain can process what's happened so that you don't have to do that right at bedtime.
I love that. So it's being strategic, that if you know that the thoughts are going to come up. And so if you know the thoughts are going to come up, if you know you're having a struggle with sleeping, try to go ahead and handle that stuff earlier. I think this is why advice for some is to journal. Hey, go ahead and try to journal all those thoughts out, so that way they're not in your head and they're written down somewhere for you to handle it. Something that helped me when I had an issue sleeping, one of my problems was I was concerned I wasn't going to remember what I need to do when I woke up. And so because of that, let me just go ahead and do it now to get it out the way, because I won't remember when I wake up what I need to do. So I would stay up all night trying to do my whole to-do list before I actually fell asleep, which is insane. And I heard some advice that said, just write a to-do list. Just write down what you need to do before you go to sleep, and so that way you don't have to remember it. You had a list to write it down, and that was a game changer for me, because I was spending so much time finishing tasks out of fear that I wouldn't remember what I was going to do versus just writing down what I need to do to take care of it tomorrow. And then my brain can be free. You've written that down. You'll take care of it tomorrow. You don't have to stress about it. Go ahead and fall asleep.
It's such a simple thing, but it makes such a big impact. I've got sort of an ongoing to-do list. I just at my work computer, and just sort of as things come during the day, I put them on that list. Some of the things are on that list for a couple of days. Some of those are on there for months. That way I don't have to constantly keep a mental list going. That mental list is exhausting, and it will keep you up all night long.
Exactly. Something else that helped me with my mental list is that I got overwhelmed by my list growing, because it was growing. I got things done, but it was so I was adding things on there faster than I was taking things off. So something I did that helped me is I started putting to do, like when I want this to be done. And so what that helped me do is like, hey, here's something you want to be done, but it's not due for 3 or 4 more months. And so it doesn't need to be on your mentality to get it done now. It's something you want to remember, so you don't want to forget, but you don't have to do it now. And so putting to do dates on the things that, you only had 2 things that had to get done today. Yes, your list has 15 things on it, but only 2 are per day. You're done. And so that kind of helped me feel the accomplishment I needed.
No, I love that.
Yeah. So that worked for me very fantastic to kind of help me take back, because mental plays a big piece of it. So to help me, as I'm learning to be more self-aware, as I learn, okay, what are the things that are keeping you up at night? What are the things that aren't allowing you to sleep? So what can I do to try to help control those things better so I can get a great 7-8 hours sleep at night?
Yeah, I would argue that the sort of the mental block between sleep is more important or more significant than the physical. Certainly here in the United States, where it's like work hustle culture all the time, and that sort of process is just exhausting mentally, and it can really just create a lot of feelings of anxiety and stress that you're just unable to sort of deal with during the day, and you're going to deal with them at night. One way or another, they are getting dealt with. So another thing that's, again, just very simple. I take a walk every day, and that walk is usually 10 to 30 minutes, whatever I have time for. It's a good time for me just to get out. I can sort of, mentally, again, process these things, think about what I have to do, and just take some time to just sort of be alone with my thoughts, for a few minutes. It's good for me. It's good exercise. Get outside. The dog loves it. It's everybody wins.
I love it. That's probably one of the upsides of having a dog. It forces you to.
Yes, absolutely. In all seriousness, yes. I love having a dog that loves and needs walks, because it forces the routine.
Yes. I'm going to tell you my challenge is that I was doing a daily run in the morning. I will put my guided meditation on for about 30 minutes. I was getting a lot of things done. I'm by myself. I'm working out. I'm getting guided meditation. It just was beautiful. But then it got cold. This thing called weather. I was like, and then, okay, bundle up, put on a scarf. It's just not as enjoyable. I tried to bundle up, put on a scarf, put on a hat. I ran about half a mile. Nope, can't. This is not enjoyable anymore. And so I'm looking forward. But saying that, do I want it to be the same season year round? I don't. So I enjoy the process of change, and I understand there has to be an ebb and flow. So I understand that theoretically. But that just means I have to develop different practices for different seasons.
Yeah, well, maybe the winter months you have a treadmill or an exercise bike or some sort of indoor place that you can go exercise to get that.
Exactly. So I think it's the strategic about, okay, this you basically you figured out a method for the spring and the summer, but you might have to have some, or maybe even the fall. Maybe you only need a different method during the winter. So
I have the opposite problem here in Arizona, where it's beautiful for about 10 months of the year, 9 months of the year, and then we have 3 months where it is blisteringly hot, so hot that I cannot take the dog walking during daylight hours. So we will not walk until 10 p.m. at night, because the sun is down and the pavement is cool enough that she can now walk on it. So it's just my walks in the summer are usually, again, between 9 and 11 at night, and my walks during the rest of the season usually around 5 o'clock. So you just got to adjust.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of like the mental strength to be able to, what's the exact word I'm looking for? The mental flexibility that needing mental flexibility that when you develop a system that works, it works under those scenarios. And it might not work if the scenarios change. You have to be flexible enough to change as the scenario changes.
Yep, I love that.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of sleep. I was reading a book that's talked about just doing some of the unpacking and maybe even criticism around the grind culture, working so hard, not giving yourself a space to stop and think. And kind of she made the argument that when you rest and when you sleep, you give your brain space to kind of dream again and create again. That when you don't have sleep space, when you don't have space to rest, you can no longer dream and create.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And even just during the scope of my like working hours, I find when I have just my schedule is so full that I'm just like moving from like task to task to task. I don't have time to just think about what I could be working on. What could be better, different, more efficient? What do my future projects look like? So whether that is just, having a little extra schedule during, your daytime working hours or night where you can, rest and recover and rejuvenate, time for rest is critical. And I feel like you cannot be the best version of yourself in your work life, in your personal life, in your free time if you don't give yourself that time.
Yeah. It's like rest is so valuable. And it's so interesting that at least when I was a kid, I don't think rest was something that was seen as being this valuable thing. I think that it's something I've had to learn as I got older at the importance of it. But I was taught to work hard.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught to rest. And so it's interesting as you're becoming an adult to kind of realize things that you may not have been taught that you understand are pivotal to success.
Yeah. I think that's so true. Growing up, my family was, we weren't in poverty, but we weren't rich. Very, very far from it. Sort of, lower middle class ish. Mm-hmm. But my parents grew up in abject poverty and were really not well off, and just not safe and healthy in certain sections of their life. And hearing their stories and seeing what they went through, and then stories from my early childhood, I think it really pushes that, again, sort of grind mindset of like, I need to work as hard as I can, as long as I can, because I've seen like the risk on the other side. And there's always like this fear in the back of my mind, what happens if, there's a downtown in the market, or, we get less traffic, or this happens or that happens. And, I still, while like intellectually I can see like where we're at, like we're safe, we're secure, we're fine. I'm fine for my family. My team is fine. I'm fine. And yet there is still this thing in the back of the mind that's always driving that just other part of myself that just doesn't want to rest, just wants to go as hard and as long as possible all the time.
Yeah.
But eventually there's a breaking point for that. And I've hit that breaking point in recent years and sort of, recovered and got back to a good spot. But it's still something that is a struggle.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And it's something I'm being very conscious and cognizant of trying to raise. I have two sons, 4 and 6. Gosh, if my son knew I was thinking about his age, he might have things to say. But I'm trying to be very cognizant of trying to change their relationship with the rest so it's different from mine. And trying to give them space to say, hey, do you need rest? Rest is not a bad thing. Rest is okay. But again, I wasn't raised with that kind of attitude. I was raised to work hard and always give 100%, not so much to prioritize rest. And so it's an experiment. I'm trying to experiment on the way I can teach them to value it in a way that I don't know I was taught.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a fun experiment. I love the science fair as a kid, so I always love a good experiment.
Yeah, I think it's definitely valuable in this showing kids that there is a different path, and while it's important to work hard, you also need to give time for recovery, and there's balance in both those worlds.
Absolutely. A new mantra I'm living by is anything in extremes is bad. You need a little balance of everything. So too much of everything is not good. You always need balance. You need a little bit of anger. Like sometimes you need to be angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it has a space for it. Sometimes you need to be frustrated. And I work through a season of toxic positivity. I wanted everything to be positive, everything to be happy. That's where everything had to be. And I don't know what helped me realize it. I was like, ooh, Kristen, you're being a little toxic positive. There is a time and place for frustration. There's a time and place for unhappiness. There's a time and place for all the things. So in your desire, your goal to find happy, you can't discount sad, because sometimes fear is protecting you from something. When you're fearful, you're going to burn your hand if you touch the stove. That's because you will.
Yeah. Fear is not bad. It's I think there's definitely a time and a place for, again, sort of that negative side. You have to be allowed to feel the sadness, the anger, the frustration, as long as it doesn't drown you. You know, I think too many people it does that, and they can't get outside of the fear, the anger, the frustration, and be able to move on and find, all right, well, this has happened, but what can I do now? What good can I take from this negative situation? Recognizing that it is a negative situation, but let's think about like how to reframe it in a positive light and move forward for a better future. But that's a tough skill. Intellectually, I know that's what I want to do. That's what I should do. The best version of me does that, and yet it's still very easy to slip into that negative mindset.
Yeah, yes, and I think that it's something I'm learning to recognize is that it's understanding it's a scene. So here's a scene where I might be frustrated or I might be upset, but it's just a scene. It's not the full story. It's not the full movie. It's one scene. Yep. And so how am I going to let this scene impact the character? Am I going to let it change the character? Am I going to let the character learn from it? That I'm going to help the character be better? I think when you start to see, at least for me, when I've started to see moments of frustration or anger as a scene, it gave me power to choose how I will relate with them.
Yeah. I love that. Again, you're just sort of allowing yourself to sort of compartmentalize, this negative scene, see it for what it is, observe it without judgment, and then what's the solution? Like, if there's a problem here, can I fix this? And maybe you can't fix it. You have to just recognize that that is the way that scene is, and I've understood what I can change and what I can't change, and now I'm moving on.
Oh man, that's probably one of my favorite quotes. I'll probably butcher it now. Oh my gosh, hopefully you might know it so you can correct me when I'm wrong. I want the wisdom or the power to understand when I can change something, and the wisdom to know when I can't. Something like that.
Yes, it's I forget the quote. Where
oh gosh, I'm going to look it up now because now I want to know.
It's something prayer, and I think it's for
yes, I think it's a Serenity
Alcoholics
prayer.
Anonymous or something.
I think it's a Serenity prayer. All right, I think you gave me the name of it. It's a Serenity prayer. I'm going to look it up what it is because I referenced it.
I won't try and butcher it myself, but I heard it in recent months, and I love it as well.
Yes, here it is. I got it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah,
it's so simple, and yet such a powerful mantra to just live by.
Yep. And it's interesting how sometimes the things that are the most simple might be the hardest things to grasp.
Yeah. I forget who said it, but sort of even the simple version of that. Worry about nothing, pray about everything. My wife and I are God-fearing people, and we go to church and believe in Jesus is our Savior, and we've sort of built our lives around that. So prayer for us is huge. But I think even if your spiritual practice is different, there is a lot of value in understanding that worry gets you nothing.
Nothing.
There's no value there.
Nothing. No, it's no value in worrying, but it's just to keep your brain going over and over and over and recreating and over again. So yeah, I love that. Just there's really no there's no benefit of worrying.
Yeah. It's your mind wants to solve problems, so it will worry and create future problems just to have something to chew on. And so we gotta sort of change the sort of muscle memory of the mind to not just incessantly worry.
And what the beautiful thing is, your mind is changeable.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful that you have the power to change it.
Yeah.
You have the power to choose what you think about. When you change what you think about, then your brain thinks about something new now. But when you say, I'm so worried, I don't want X and Y and Z to happen, and that's what you think about, X, Y, and Z happening, that's what your brain's thinking about now. If you just don't, then you're not thinking about that.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done.
Easier said than done, yeah. And it's, again, so thinking back to like, the kids who are so present in our lives, while they might have like very short-term worries about, a test or some other thing going on at school, they're immediately back to the present as soon as that moment's over.
Yeah.
And so we, early on in life, we live largely without worry and without all this future anxiety about what could happen. And then at some point, I don't know, probably in middle school, high school, you begin to build those patterns, and I think that becomes sort of the pattern for many adults. It's really hard to make a new pattern and get out of that habit. But I think there's tremendous value if you can sort of retrain the way that the mind just sort of operates autonomously.
That's it. Oh my gosh. I think that's the encouraging piece of it, is that our brains are so powerful. Our brains are so powerful, and you are the one who controls it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so once you decide what you're doing, then that's what you're doing. And so it's refreshing and uplifting to know I have the power here. So if I want to be sad every day, I can be sad every day. There's a lot of things I can look back in my life to be sad about. If I want to be happy every day, there's a lot of things in my life I can look back and have so much gratitude about. I get to choose which way I'm going.
Yeah, it's both really exciting and edifying and fun to think about, but also very scary, because your mind has such power. It will build the future that you think, that you imagine, that you create in your mind. It will build it.
Yes.
And it can build, great buildings and structures and an amazing life, or it can build, a really dark place that you don't want to be.
Yeah. Your thoughts become your reality.
Absolutely.
As simple as that, your thoughts become your reality. So knowing that, be very powerful over your thoughts, because you create them. No one else has the power to change your thoughts but you.
Yeah.
No one else. So thank you so much for reaching out to Black and Green to be on our podcast. Is there anything else about Nap Lab that you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say yet?
If you're in the market for a new mattress and need some help, be sure to visit us at naplab.com. It's naplab.com. We've got reviews, comparisons, best of guides, and a whole lot more. Also, we've got a little mattress finder quiz there. You can answer a few questions about your needs and preferences. That goes straight to me or a member of my team, and we send you back a personalized recommendation within 24 hours.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on our podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.
Thank you for tuning into the Black and Green podcast. Did you have more questions for our special guest? Please leave your questions in the comment section. Also, check us out at blkgrn.com. Please subscribe and comment. We love hearing from you. Until next time, buy black and live green.